We are going to move on to text sets now. I'm going to show you and give you an opportunity to roll your sleeves up and look at an example of the kinds of units, lessons, and instructional materials that you can use starting next week in your classrooms that are specifically designed to help students build the knowledge and the vocabulary that they need to become college and career. Let's take a look. Text sets are a collection of resources that are organized for students to build knowledge about a specific topic. In addition, there's a category of suggested activities to help students capture the learning and express their learning with these resources and in these texts. So it's both the materials and the activities together that create a text set for students. Let's talk about resources first. Text sets usually include a variety of resources, meaning sometimes they are reading passages, they could be articles, they can be excerpts from books, there could be videos, infographics, websites. The opportunity for building digital literacy is abundant when you're thinking about building a text set. Anything goes as long as it's connected to the same topic. Now, once you have a nice variety of resources, it's important to sequence those resources so that they create a coherent and gradual learning process for students. So this means, what should be the first thing students read? Once they get what they need to get from that, can they apply that knowledge to the next text and the next resource so that there's an actual intentional sequence of reading that is going to help students really learn a topic over time? Instead of jumping around from text to text, you want to make sure that one text or resource helps scaffold or jump a student into the next more difficult resource. So to do that, you generally begin with the lower level reading text and move to the more complex text. You might start with videos and knowledge vocabulary building activities first, then get students to read text. So there's lots of ways to sequence and organize text sets. And we're going to spend some time talking about that today during the live classroom experience. And as you do that, it actually supports the student's ability to read the next selection because they get stronger with vocabulary, they get stronger with knowledge. The same vocabulary starts to repeat from resource to resource. And suddenly you've got students who may not have ever been able to read a text at such a high complexity level, but by giving them the scaffolding and the baby steps they need, they suddenly can do it pretty independently. It's fascinating. And the best part is that students become experts. They become experts on the topics. There's a nice collection of videos on the Links website provided to us by the Department of Education. And I will point to those resources later when we are in our live session. But there's a couple of really great lessons where two teachers who are building knowledge in their students about the penny, the United States penny, and whether or not it should be eliminated from our currency system. And by the end, you can tell students are complete experts on the currency system and they have really strong opinions about the penny. Another one was on cell phone use in preteen children. And you saw students in the class reading articles and thinking about technology and the impact on the world. So they became experts by approaching these resources in this way. We'll talk more about that during the live session. Here is an example of a series of resources for a text set that you are going to explore at the end of our course this morning. It's a text set on immigration and citizenship. You'll see that there's a collection of 5 articles. There are a few infographics that students have to go on a computer to access. And then there's a few videos or other media that students can experience. So you can imagine after reading these 11 resources or experiencing them, students have a lot of knowledge and vocabulary around this topic of immigration and citizenship. The next thing that goes along with the text set are the suggested activities, what we like to call learning worth remembering. There's nothing like spending a tremendous amount of time researching or reading something and then having an opportunity to share what you've learned. And if we're going to make students do this work, they might as well have the chance to demonstrate what they know. Is this work worth doing? So the suggested activities are a light touch approach for teachers and students that can be done easily in classrooms. They can be done mostly independently by students. And it gives teachers an opportunity to help students do a lot of work without a whole lot of planning and preparation required by the teacher. They're already designed. I can't wait to show them to you. These are just 2 examples of the learning worth remembering or the student work portions of this immigration and citizenship unit that you're going to look at. Students complete a rolling vocabulary journal where they're tracking vocabulary from one resource to another. There's another type of activity where there are some pop quiz questions, for example, and students have to be able to answer the questions based on what they read from the text. And you're going to be able to dig in and look at these very, very closely in just a moment. So you'll see that it's both students in this text set and teachers. You are provided with the resources for your students, and then you are also provided with materials for your students to engage with and activities that will help cement that learning, and you can implement those in your lesson. While I give you some time this morning, you're going to have a good chunk of time to review these materials because we're going to talk about them very closely during our classroom session at 11 o'clock. The questions to think about during the resource review this morning in just a few minutes, I want you to look at the sample text on immigration and citizenship. You're going to be thinking about where some texts will be appropriate for adult learners because some of these resources are K-12 resources that are repurposed for adult learners. So you as an instructor might say, yeah, this is going to work for my students. You might look at some text thinking, absolutely not. If I show this to my students, they're going to think this is baby work. I'm not going to use this resource. I want to hear that. You might know or think of additional texts or resources or videos that you want to add on. I'd love to hear you write your notes about that. And then you're going to have an opportunity to look at the activities that go along with the text set. Think about the standards that are being addressed. Are there other standards that you think could be addressed? Are there standards that your students really, really need help and support with? Could you teach other standards using this unit and think about that as well? So this is a lot to consider, but the idea is to look at these really well done K-12 materials and figure out what you as an instructor can do to make these relevant and appropriate for your students. Because I truly believe as instructors, it is our obligation to take advantage of the hard work other people have done. There's no reason for us to always have to recreate everything. And if there are good aligned materials that exist, our time is best spent adjusting those materials so that they are perfect for our students. And that's the chance you're going to have in just a moment when you look at the citizenship and immigration text set. So let's get ready. This is another pause the video moment. You're going to have an opportunity now to pause the video, and we're going to give you a really long amount of time here. You're going to have a good 45 minutes to access the materials in the resource section in Blackboard. You're going to open the immigration and citizenship text set. You're going to read and skim through the resources. You'll have to follow the links. You'll have to look up the websites. You'll have to find the actual articles that are mentioned. We want you to skim through those. Really experience it as students would experience it. We want you to look at some of the learning worth remembering activities that are included. Those are the classroom-facing activities that are included with the text set. So just try one just for your own knowledge. We are actually going to spend a lot of time trying all of the activities together during our live classroom. So just try one just to get your feet wet, but we're going to have a lot of fun with that ourselves when we meet in our classroom. But the most important thing here is to be prepared to share. What will students learn from this immigration and citizenship text set? How will students learn from this immigration and citizenship text set? And the questions to ponder around the relevance and what you can do with the materials when you have the chance to implement this text set or any text set in your classroom. So these questions will be available to you in the discussion board so you don't have to remember all of them. Please make sure you jot down all of your notes and the responses to the questions when you get into the discussion board. Please feel free now to stop your video and skim through the resources. Set a timer for yourself. 45 minutes will go very, very quickly. So please set a timer and make sure you have your responses in within the next 45 minutes. See you and thank you so much.